I still remember the taste of my lie. It tasted like red wine, panic, and the tears I could not stop. I had just slipped off the black silk lingerie he bought for me last year, laid dinner for two with candles flickering between us, and then, with trembling lips, I told him I had slept with someone else. I expected him to scream, cry, or leave. Instead, he looked me dead in the eyes and said, "You think that is bad? I have been lying to you for years." Before I dive into the rest of this story, I want to sincerely thank all of you who have subscribed to this channel. Your support means everything. And to all my new and returning viewers who are yet to hit that subscribe button, I cannot wait for you to do it now. It serves as the fuel and energy that keeps powering this channel and every single story I share. Please do not forget to like, comment, and share your thoughts below. I would love to hear how you feel after this chapter. Now, let us go deeper. My name is Elena Walker. I am a 35-year-old woman, raised in the quiet suburbs of Charleston, but I live in the north side of Atlanta now. I work in interior design, and I have been married to Jackson Walker for 8 years. Jackson is tall, charming, and works in the tech industry, someone everyone calls dependable, a good man. But that night, both of us took off our masks. And what we revealed underneath was terrifying. It started the week before our anniversary. The air smelled like April rain and blooming azaleas. I had just finished designing the lounge area of a new luxury spa, and I felt proud. But as I drove home in traffic, I dreaded arriving. That house had grown cold. Jackson had been distant for months, and my guilt was growing unbearable. That night, I went into our walk-in closet, pulled out a little black box, and took out the lingerie he gave me last year. The tag still hung loosely because I never wore it, not until that night. It was not seduction. It was guilt. I set the table. I lit candles. I made his favorite meal, honey-glazed salmon with roasted rosemary potatoes. I curled my hair and wore his favorite perfume. I wanted to look beautiful. I wanted to distract him. I wanted to distract myself. When Jackson walked in, he looked surprised, maybe even cautious. "Happy early anniversary," I smiled weakly. He smiled back, but it did not touch his eyes. We ate mostly in silence. I could not taste the food. My hands shook when I reached for the wine. I knew this night would end everything, but I could not hold the lie any longer. I had cheated. Not once. Not with a stranger. It was with Jared, a man I worked with on a 3-month showroom project. He made me laugh again. He listened when Jackson ignored me. It was not love, but it was escape. He kissed my scars while Jackson barely noticed them. We met in a hotel room 3 times. And each time, I hated myself more. "I need to talk to you," I said, my voice cracking like old wood. Jackson looked up from his plate. "What is going on?" I stood. I paced. My legs refused to carry me back to the table. I turned toward the fireplace and stared at the framed photo of us in Rome, the last time I felt we were real. "I made a mistake," I began. His eyes narrowed, but he said nothing. "I had an affair. I was lonely. I felt invisible. It was not emotional, but it happened, and I am sorry." Silence. He stared at me for so long, I thought he had not heard me. I could hear the hum of the refrigerator and the ticking wall clock. I cried. I begged for forgiveness before he said a word. Then he leaned back in his chair and whispered, "You think that is bad? I have been lying to you for years." The world tilted. His voice was calm, too calm. It terrified me more than if he had flipped the table. I looked at him through watery eyes. "What do you mean?" He smiled. Not kindly. Slowly. "Elena, you thought I worked late because I loved my job. You thought business trips were all meetings and hotel bars?" My heart pounded. My ears rang. I stood there frozen in the soft glow of candlelight, dressed like a woman trying to reignite love. And the man across from me, He was a stranger. He continued, "You know what is funny? I almost respected you more in that moment. At least you had the guts to tell me." I walked slowly toward him. My knees were weak. "Jackson, what are you saying?" He looked me in the eye and said something that I would never forget. "You think your 3 nights in a motel are betrayal? Try 5 years. Try another woman. Another house. Another family." I screamed. I fell to my knees. My chest burned. My mouth opened, but no sound came. It felt like my lungs collapsed all at once. He got up from his chair, walked past me, and poured himself another glass of wine. "Happy anniversary, sweetheart," he said with a twisted smirk. And that was the moment I realized. I was not the villain. I was not the victim. We were both poison. But his poison ran deeper. His betrayal was sharper. And the worst part? I had only scratched the surface. I barely remember how I got to the bedroom that night. My mind was no longer my own. My body moved, but I felt like I was watching from the outside. I had confessed my affair thinking I was the one tearing our marriage apart, but Jackson had just unveiled a secret that made my betrayal look like child's play. 5 years. A second woman. Another family? I could still hear the clink of his wine glass on the granite counter as I lay on the bed in my black lingerie, now clinging to my body like shame. I had dressed to seduce. I had dressed to heal. But by the end of that night, I felt stripped of every illusion I had ever wrapped myself in. Jackson did not come to bed that night. I heard the door to his home office click shut. It was always locked when he was inside. I used to think it was because of work. Now, I wondered if that was where he texted her. Whoever she was. I cried until the sun began to rise. And when the silence grew louder than my sobs, I picked up my phone and opened the Notes app. I began typing everything I remembered, every moment that felt off but that I dismissed over the years. Every business trip that got extended. Every holiday where he seemed disconnected. Every missed call, every late-night shower, every "do not wait up." How long had I been sleeping beside a stranger? The next morning, Jackson made coffee like nothing happened. He even asked if I wanted my usual, vanilla oat milk, 2 sugars. I stared at him in disbelief. He looked at me with calm eyes, as if the words from the night before had not shattered the foundation of our marriage. Was she the only one? I asked. He looked up, shrugged slightly, and said, "Define only." My knees buckled. I sat down at the dining table we had just shared the night before, but this time, the candles were gone. The plates were gone. Only the wine stain on the white tablecloth remained, like a bloodstain no one bothered to clean. "Who is she?" I asked. He took a sip of coffee. "Does it matter?" "Yes, it matters." He walked over, leaned on the table, and said, "Her name is Tasha. We met at a software expo in Dallas 5 years ago. She was exciting, wild. Nothing like you. It started physical, but she got pregnant. I stayed. I felt my stomach churn." "You stayed?" He smirked. "Not full time. I split my time. Weekends when I said I was traveling. I was with them. Them. It was true. There was not just another woman. There was a child." I gasped. "You have a child?" He nodded slowly. "A daughter. Her name is Maisie. She is 4. I stood so fast I knocked over the chair. I pressed my palms to my face and screamed. My chest caved inward like it was being crushed. I had betrayed my vows. But he had betrayed my life. Over the next few days, I stopped sleeping. I stopped eating. I stopped showering. I simply existed. I replayed his words over and over in my head. I expected rage. I expected yelling. But Jackson was eerily calm, like a man who had accepted who he was. "Why are you not sorry?" I asked one night. He looked at me from the couch and said, "Because I stopped loving you a long time ago." I froze. He added, "But I stayed. I paid the mortgage. I showed up at your mother's funeral. I smiled through our anniversary dinners. I did my part." I wanted to scream, but the words died in my throat. He got up, walked into the kitchen, and casually said, "The affair you had with Jared?" I knew. I turned sharply. "You knew?" He nodded. "I had you followed for 3 weeks. I saw the hotel charges. I saw the texts. You are not hard to catch, Elena. You are predictable." My face burned. Shame, fury, and something worse, humiliation, boiled inside me. "Why did you not confront me?" He looked at me with an icy stare. "Because I needed insurance." "Insurance for what?" "In case you ever tried to expose me." It was in that moment I realized I was not married to a man. I was married to a manipulator. He had known about my affair. He had planned every response. He had stored screenshots, gathered proof, calculated his every word. While I was crying in motel rooms and repenting in front of God, he was building his defense. He was not just a cheater. He was a predator. The next week, I drove across town to a local boutique I had designed last year. Tasha's Boutique. At the time, I thought the name was charming. The owner had raved about my work and sent thank you emails signed T. I never realized the woman I designed a baby corner for might have been his Tasha. I parked across the street, heart racing, hands shaking. She stepped outside to smoke. I recognized her instantly. She was beautiful, dark curls, sun-kissed skin, legs for days. Younger than me. Her smile was careless. She looked free. I stepped out and crossed the street. "Hi," I said. She glanced up. "Hey. Can I help you?" I smiled. "I am looking for a baby gift. For a 4-year-old girl." Her face softened. "I got just the thing." We went inside. She showed me a pink dress with a unicorn on the front. "My Maisie loves this one," she said. Maisie. The name landed like a bullet in my gut. I swallowed hard. "She is beautiful?" Tasha grinned. "She is perfect. Just like her daddy." I nodded slowly. "Jackson?" She froze. Her lips parted. Her eyes flickered with something between confusion and fear. I leaned in and whispered, "I am his wife." The silence in that boutique was deafening. Tasha stepped back. Her hand went to her chest. "You are lying," she whispered. "No," I said. "But he was." Tasha shook her head. No, he said you were separated. He said you knew. He said you were a drunk. That you slept around. That you were mentally unstable." I felt the walls close in. "He lied to you just like he lied to me," I said, voice trembling. "But do not worry. You are not the only one." Tasha stared at me. Her eyes welled with tears. "How long have you been with him?" I asked. "Since 2019, she said. He spent every weekend with us. We spent holidays together. He told Maisie he was just busy with work." I nodded. "And I told everyone my husband was loyal." We sat on the boutique couch in silence for a long time. 2 women. 1 story. 1 man. 1,000 lies. Before I left, Tasha whispered, "What are you going to do?" I looked at her with bloodshot eyes and said, "Burn everything he ever loved." That night, I returned home and stood at the doorway watching him play on his phone. "You are going to lose everything," I said. He looked up, smirked, and replied, "Not before you do." And for the first time in my life, I realized. This was war. I always believed that rock bottom was crying on the bathroom floor after discovering your husband had a secret family. But the truth is, rock bottom comes after that. It comes when you realize no one is coming to save you. Not your friends. Not your parents. Not even God, not right away. Because before healing comes, the fire. And I was ready to burn everything. The first person I told was my sister, Michelle. She had always been my anchor. The calm one. The lawyer. The realist. She listened in dead silence as I unloaded every dark detail, my affair, his daughter, the boutique, the gaslighting, the years of deception. When I finished, her first words were, "Elena, you need to get ahead of him." "What do you mean?" I asked. Michelle leaned forward. "Jackson is not going to play fair. You confessed first. That gives him leverage. He will twist this, paint you as unstable, emotional, promiscuous. He will weaponize your truth. You need to act first." That conversation lit something inside me. I had spent too many years apologizing. Too many nights waiting for affection. Too many months making excuses for Jackson's absences. Not anymore. The next morning, I put on a white blouse and soft makeup and walked into my attorney's office. I filed for divorce on the grounds of adultery, emotional cruelty, and abandonment. I provided my own confession, on my terms, written, time-stamped, and with context, before Jackson could twist it. I included evidence of his betrayal. I had the voice recording from his confession. The photo of Tasha and Maisie. The receipts from shared vacations. The hotel bills. Even the birthday video I found on Tasha's boutique Instagram page. "Happy 4th birthday, Maisie. Daddy loves you so much." That clip alone tore my heart in two. He had been hugging that little girl while I spent the same weekend crying at home over our failed IVF cycle. Jackson did not take the papers well. The day the server handed them over, he stormed into the house with thunder in his eyes. "You think you can ruin me?" he shouted. I stood firm. "I am not ruining you. I am freeing myself." "You cheated first," he spat. "I can destroy you." I looked him straight in the eye and said, "Try." He had underestimated me for the last time. The weeks that followed were war. Jackson hired a ruthless attorney. He claimed I was the reason for the divorce. He claimed I was emotionally unstable, citing our fertility struggles and my panic attacks. He leaked pieces of my affair to mutual friends and even to my boss. He tried to strip me of everything, the house, the car, even my interior design company that I had built from the ground up. But what he did not know was that Tasha had flipped. After our boutique meeting, she and I had exchanged numbers. A week later, she called me in tears. "He told me I was his only family," she sobbed. "He promised to marry me. And then I found out he was planning to leave me, too." "What changed?" I asked. "Maisie found a picture of you. She asked if that was Daddy's other wife." He slapped the photo out of her hand. "That was it. I cannot protect that kind of man anymore." Tasha testified on my behalf. She provided screenshots, letters, financial records, and audio recordings of Jackson badmouthing me to her. It shattered his case. But the damage had already seeped into my life. Some of our old friends distanced themselves. Whispers followed me at work. My inbox flooded with anonymous hate. One email said, "You are just as disgusting as he is." Another said, "No wonder he left you." For a while, I believed them. But Michelle reminded me, "You did wrong, Elena. But you confessed." He manipulated. That is the difference. I held on to that. And I also held on to therapy. Each week, I sat across from Dr. Langford, unpacking layers of grief and guilt. I admitted the truth about my affair, not just to others, but to myself. I no longer called it a mistake. I called it what it was, a wound I inflicted because I was too afraid to speak. But Jackson's betrayal? That was no wound. That was surgical. Calculated. Merciless. He had never loved me the way I loved him. 6 months later, the divorce finalized. I kept the house. I kept my company. I lost a few friends, but I gained something else. Silence. Stillness. Freedom. The first night alone, I sat on the back porch and drank tea. No more pretending. No more smiling through pain. Just me, the crickets, and the open sky. I thought I would feel lonely. But I felt alive. A year passed. I redesigned the house, ripped out every corner that reminded me of him. The fireplace mantel was replaced. The wine glasses were donated. I painted our old bedroom sea green. Fresh. Healing. Then, one Sunday afternoon, I bumped into Tasha at a farmer's market. She had Maisie with her. I watched as the little girl reached for a peach and giggled at the bees. She is growing, I said. Tasha smiled, a little sad. She misses him. But she is happier now. We talked for an hour. There was no jealousy. No blame. Just two women who had survived the same storm. I am starting over, I told her. She squeezed my hand. Me too. And then came the twist I never saw coming. One rainy Thursday morning, I received a call from Michelle. Are you sitting down? She asked. Yes. Why? It is Jackson. My heart skipped. What happened? He is dead, Elena. The words froze me. Jackson had died in a car crash on Interstate 285. Police said he was speeding in the rain. He had no seatbelt on. No will. No recent contact with anyone. Tasha was notified. Maisie cried for days. I did not cry. I felt numb. But I did attend his funeral. Not for him. For me. I stood at the back in a black coat and watched strangers speak about a man I barely recognized. They called him loyal, brilliant, misunderstood. I said nothing. Because the man I knew was none of those things. And the woman I used to be, the broken wife in black silk, was gone. 2 years later, I moved to Asheville, North Carolina. Bought a small cottage. Opened a boutique interior studio. I wake up now without checking my phone in fear. I laugh without guilt. I cry without shame. Sometimes, I still hear Jackson's voice in my dreams. But when I do, I open my eyes, place my feet on solid ground, and remind myself. I was not the villain. I was not the victim. I was the woman who survived. And survival, my dear viewers, is the most radical revenge of all.